Wilson Miles from Black Women TV, talking to the director and producers of Dreaming Whilst Black, which is going to be playing on Showtime. How's everybody doing?
Good, Wilson. Nice to meet you.
So Koby, I'll start with you. Obviously, as I watched the episodes, I can relate to some of the things that are going on, because I think anybody that's in the entertainment business, while struggling to make it, has had to have that point where, like, you've had your day job. I always call it Clark Kent jobs, where we have to do something during the day, and then we have to figure out how to get out and do what we need to do to keep our dreams going. So talking about coming in on this and directing these episodes.
Yeah, no, it's a story it's my story. It's my story at the end of the day. So it's just sort of like, it's not hard to depict. I think, there's the winning part of the show, the superpower of the show is how real and raw it is. And I think, me being able to, use the craft that I've learned on something that I know inside out, do you know what I mean, was just a dream. Do you know what I mean? Because it's like, you know what to say to the actors, you know what shots would really encapsulate, this kind of moment or whatever. And for me, it's really about the story of the person who quit their job and took the leap of faith, because that's just one approach which I took. And to then climb out of the hole from there is a crazy, crazy story. Only the strongest people can sort of make it through such an ordeal. So yeah, for me as a director, it was just about serving, that detail which has been so well written, but also so relatable to myself with the craft, sort of matching the scientific part of the job, do you know what I mean, to this, sort of spirit. There's so much spirit Adjani's put in the script. And yeah, so that's it for me. Sort of like it was very relatable, so very easy and free-flowing work for me.
And so the producers, Nicola and Dani, obviously, as I mentioned before, everybody's had something within the series that they can relate to. So how do you come in here knowing to produce the series that people will find that they relate to, that they'll find funny, bringing in an American culture, when they start talking about love and basketball, that American audiences will get, and you have to know what they're talking about to get if you're Black, because they won't get it, So talk to me about coming in and producing these series, Nicola.
Yeah, so I think, hi. So I mean, from my accent, you could probably tell that I don't have the heavy British accent. Born in the UK, but grew up in Toronto. I didn't bring the love and basketball storyline. That was all Adjani and Ali. However, I think, growing up in the UK, everyone digests American television, whether it's TV shows, or films, that we consume and seek out and consume that content because we can relate to that content. Black British TV shows, sort of long-standing shows don't really exist. And in terms of film, there, I wouldn't say that there's, that there's a considerable amount of them. So I think, growing up, these are the types of shows and films that, that we all watched and loved. So I don't think it was necessarily intentional because we were going, hoping to connect with a US audience. I think it was just being able to just connect with, sort of Black people around the world. I think everyone consumes, American content, regardless of where you are on the planet.
And Dani, coming in here, obviously this is a dramedy because there's a lot of funny parts in here. So talking about, obviously, when you're working with Adjani and the writers, as far as how to balance out what's real, what really goes on, along with the comedy.
Sure. I think for us, it was always about just doing the truest experience and the realest show, right? And some of those things are in the action, with, not going to a meeting or, karaoke scenes or whatever. And some of it is the thought process and the shoulda, woulda, couldas, of which there are plenty in the show, right? And I think we just wanted to depict sometimes the funniest things exist in our head. And those things, manifest themselves in the dream sequences of, I wish I did this, and wish, or I could have done this. And regret can be funny as well. We've tried to deliver it in a way that's real, but, that's also funny. So we never really tried, when you watch a show, is it drama, is it comedy? I think real life is both. I think real life is both. And that's what we just wanted to execute with the show. We'll leave it for the critics or the audience to work out what genre it is, but it was just important that people could, laugh, and they could feel emotional, within the span of 5 minutes. So it was important that we just delivered that.
So Koby, you're just fairly out. You're not 10 years in the game, at least from what I read. But you've directed a lot of stuff. So coming in, working with Adjani, comedy is never easy to direct. You got to hit the right mark. So obviously, how long does it take to, when you're reading a script, you're directing it, doing that first take, do you let any of the actors ad lib, any of the scenes? Because I'm sure everybody has a story to tell, but do you allow them to punch it up a bit?
Definitely, 1,000,000%. I think, look, the way we work with the actors is you just have to establish their goal in a scene. Do you know what I mean? They need to have their objective. They need to know what they're trying to achieve. And I think once they know what they're trying to achieve, the dialogue on page becomes like pillars that they hold on to. But in between those pillars, there's a whole load of life to throw in there. Like, we look at the dinner scene. I'm not going to give too much away. Do you know what I mean? But you've watched it. There's a lot of ad-libbing in that. Do you know what I'm saying to you? Which is sort of like those cultural buzzwords that, would be in the sort of Black culture in the UK at the time, which makes it, I guess, funnier for Black British people. But in the same breath, it's sort of like globally universal terminology, sort of like social media buzzwords that even over in the States would latch onto, but that comes out naturally. Do you get what I mean? Like, and I think that it was very important to improvise on this because the casting was brilliant. But once you get the right actors, you just have to leave them to be what they know to be. Do you get what I'm saying to you? But in the same breath, put the perimeters around them with the objective, with the goals, and sort of guiding them through the scene. But I think that's only half the job, because then when you go and post, that has to be carved out in the edit. Do you get what I'm saying to you? In terms of rhythm, in terms of pacing, in terms of tempo, etc. So I think, for sure it was delightful, to get all those little nuggets that the actors then throw at you as a result, that wasn't on the script. Now you can use to build up the whole landscape of the scene. Do you get what I mean? So I think, it was good. It was really, really good to, sort of like, and to be honest with you, I think first comedy I've done, but I go back to the craft and the science. There is principles of comedy, and as long as you hold yourself accountable to them, not follow rules, but hold yourself accountable to them, you're going to get the product, which is, raise the stakes on this decision. I can go to an actor and say, look, I don't want any of your decisions to make sense on this next take. Just heighten the stakes on everything. And then I can pick and choose the bits that work in the cut. So yeah, that's the short of thing.
And I'll leave it to any one of you that can answer, because he's not here to talk, but can someone talk about Adjani and what he brings to this and how relevant it is for anybody to watch the show? Because at the end of the day, there's so much product on TV between cable and streaming and network and going to the movies. It's hard to decide what to watch. You always have to hear about it from somebody, because you're not home scrolling through 500 channels anymore. So somebody's got to tell you about a show. So can you talk to me? Can anyone talk about Adjani and what he brings to the series that's going to make people watch it?
Originality, courage.
Me and Nicola.
Yeah, I think Adjani brings an authenticity to the show. He brings an authenticity to the lived Black experience as a creative, authenticity to anyone who's just following their dream, really. He's great to work with. Everything on script is intentional. And like you said, it really is about everyone telling a friend to tell a friend to tell a friend. But the great thing about this show is it's this authenticity and what it brings, and how it resonates with audiences globally, really. Because even though we are highlighting the Black experience, the UK Black experience, it still has the same levels of, it's still consistent across the board in terms of the message and the themes that we're conveying.
Yeah, I'm sure, like I said before, people are going to relate to this, because obviously there's a point in time when people are deciding going to be actors and producers and directors. But at the same time, they always have to have that day job to figure out, you know what, I'm going to give it a shot. I'm going to quit and wait. But, and you never know what people are going to get out of this series. But I had a kick watching it. Congratulations for getting it on. Let's keep it going. Let's get a season 2 down the road, so that way we can talk again.
Yes.
Great. Very much, Wilson. That's very, very
Thank
kind.
you so much, Wilson.
All right. Take care, folks.